Hey everyone. Thanks for joining us. Get set up here for just a second. We'll get going on the show. Getting old.
Word.
Getting old, Greg.
I feel you, dude. I can't believe Mario started the thing and then just leaves. It's a bold play. This candy is good. You can't every week do Halloween.
Candy. It's nice.
Need more Halloweens.
Mario's picking.
No spoilers for the people. John, they're tuned in.
It's true. We don't have a Dennis lock of the week because he's not here.
Oh.
Should we give one for him?
Who's Gruya playing?
Kingsville King.
Look, there you go. That's Dennis's lock of the week. Gruya all the way. Gruya in the hizzy.
What's up?
Gruya in the hizzy. That's what's up.
Gruya.
Dennis's lock of the week is going to be Gruya because he's not here to make one.
Brady, how do we fit in the frame? Every time I'm not
We'll
here,
find out.
John's head almost goes up from the thing. People don't account for that.
I look at it on the thing. Yeah, it's fine.
No,
You're
we're good.
fine.
We're good. Frame wise, we're good. Scoochy scooch. All the legs.
Agata, what do you think about Roma on Friday?
I think they suck. JK. I like Roma. I'm teasing. That's going to be a good game. It's probably the best game on the schedule.
Well, it's the Monitor's game of the week, so you know it's going to be good.
What do I think about Roma versus Pioneer? We'll get to that. I guess we'll get to that. So,
We will.
Are you ready?
I had a coach call me while I was cutting my hair, and I came over and I was typing while I was on the phone, and like hair.
Hair everywhere.
Yeah.
Ew.
Grody.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this.
Great, calm down.
Ew.
And 3, 2. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RGVSports.com podcast. I'm your host. My name is John LaFollette, and I cover high school sports for the Monitor newspaper in McAllen, Texas, and for RGVSports.com for the world at large. If you listen to this, you already know what it is. It's the RGV Week 10. We're in double digits now, Mario. RGV Week 10 podcast, getting you ready for Class 5A teams. Normally, Dennis Silva, our 32 5A beat reporter, he joins me to open up the show. He is a bit under the weather, according to those who are familiar with knowledge of the situation.
Yeah.
So we send our best regards to him. Hope he can get back and can join us as soon as he can. But Mario, you're here.
I am.
And it's kind of fitting that you're here and Dennis isn't. Not because of any personal vendetta against Dennis, although from what I hear, he smells like...
Popeyes?
Yeah, he smells like Popeyes, which, I mean, you know...
You think Popeyes did it?
Huh?
Do you think Popeyes did it?
I don't know, because Popeyes might one day want to be a potential sponsor for RGVSports.com
True.
podcast, so I don't want to say anything
True.
anything negative about chicken. Although, did you hear that red meat causes cancer, according to the World Health Organization? So,
That's not good.
for all you poultry fans, eat away. It's all
Yeah.
you. It's all about chicken and turkey. Anyways, as I was saying, it's fitting that you're here and Dennis isn't, because kind of a quiet week for Dennis's district in 32-5. Maybe we can briefly touch on his district. later on in the show. But it's kind of a slow week in general for the Valley. There's 2 weeks left in the regular season. A lot of big matchups in Week 11, but to get to Week 11, we first have to get through Week 10. A couple so-so games, a lot of so-so games this week, but you've got a really important one in 31-5A. So let's start with that. But let's talk about that. It's going to be Roma versus Sharyland Pioneer.
Yeah.
What's at stake here for both these teams?
It's Pioneer's last game of the season. They have a bye in Week 11, so they need this win to stay in playoff contention. Outside of Vela and Valley View, every team has a shot of finishing 3-3 in district. So it's kind of hard to get a gauge for how things will shake out. So for Pioneer, they need this to finish 3-3. They're 2-3 right now, having lost 3 in a row, including last week's game to Sharyland High. They've lost to Vela, Mission Veterans, and then Sharyland High.
Right, the top dogs in the district so far.
Yeah, so they need this win to stay in there. Roma doesn't necessarily need it, but it'd be a good cushion just heading into the last game of the season, and they close against Valley View. And last year, Roma won these last 2 games to get in.
With this game is Friday, it should be noted, at Sharyland Pioneer. Roma's got to go on the road. I'd be curious. I mean, do you know this at all? I mean, because with Roma, they're so far away from the rest of these other Valley teams. It's about an hour and a half drive for them to get out here. They got to load up all those buses, all that equipment, and bring it with them. Kind of a taxing day for them. Game days, when they've got to travel. Do you know what their record is in terms of some of these road games for them in recent years?
I will let you know as I give you this answer. I asked Coach Hallbecker this earlier in the season. He said it's not really a big deal. They kind of prep for it where they leave so many hours away to where they get to the stadium by 3 p.m. So he said it's not really that big of a deal. He said it's kind of it's a bigger deal for other schools because they're not as used to it going to Roma. So for them,
right,
if they travel anywhere, it's further out, so they're accustomed to it by now.
Yeah, Roma's. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to Roma as redistricting happens here and come February. There's been some questions here in the office. We're not speculating. We're just genuinely curious about this. This is decisions that are going to be made by the UIL. We're curious if Roma's going to stay with Valley teams, like lower Valley teams, or if they're going to get shifted up with like some 5A Laredo schools, like Cigarroa or what have you, because they're kind of like they're in the middle between Laredo and McAllen. They're right there, so I'd be curious to see what happens to them.
Well,
but that's come February. Let's talk about what's going to happen Friday. Let's get into some X's and O's here. Obviously, both these teams are pretty familiar with each other. Not necessarily because there's a lot of history here, but just because they both play a similar style. Both teams pride themselves on defense. They pride themselves on running the ball, controlling the tempo, not turning the ball over. So when you've got 2 teams like this, when there's a lot at stake, from what I understand, Pioneer loses, their playoff shots are over, right?
Yeah.
So Pioneer's playing for all the marbles here, as it were. Yeah. How do you see this playing out X's and O's wise? What do you see happening here?
I think Roma's coming off a bye, so they have a little more time to prepare for Pioneer. Pioneer is down a quarterback. They're down to their freshman, who is their 4th option. Both teams pride themselves on defense, but Roma's just been the more known commodity. The last couple of years, they beat Sharyland High, which I think was pretty unexpected. They've held Vela to season low in yards. So defensively, I think we know what we're going to get from Roma. Sharyland Pioneer has had a lot of good outings statistically. They're up there. They're number 2 in yards allowed through 10 weeks. They're at 259 to Roma's 245. I have Roma winning this game, even though the status of Ramon Espinoza is uncertain at this point. He missed the last game for the first time this season. I'm a little more comfortable with them and just how they control the clock, and they're just good game managers. And Sharyland Pioneer, they haven't won in 3 games, and I think that kind of takes a toll on the team. They have a lot of seniors on there, but I just think that with a lot of the changes that they've had, a lot of the injuries, I think it might be a little harder to overcome, especially against a stout Roma defense. You mentioned the injuries for Pioneer. Are they still on their 4th-string quarterback? Is that who their guy is this game? Their starter got hurt, ACL, MCL, and then they just went down to their JV call-up, Jacob Rosales. They alternated between him and Tyler, whose last name I can't pronounce. I don't want to butcher it, but they switched between those two. But Jacob got the majority of the snaps, and this week in practice, Jacob had most of the snaps with the first team, so they're counting on him to start. And he had a good game last week. He passed for, you have it right there for Jacob. Let's see, Jacob. Where is it? Okay, so Jacob passed for 170 yards, 13 to 21 passing, no, he didn't have a touchdown. So yeah, 13, 21 passing, 170. I think that's good for a freshman in the first start against Sherland High.
Now, let's just kind of figure out some scenarios here because, again, as you said, aside from Valley View, everyone is still hypothetically still in a playoff chase here. So let's say Pioneer wins. As you said, it's their last game of the season. They got to bye next week. Mm-hmm. So they're 3-3.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're automatically in. It just means they put themselves in a position. But so let's say they win 3-3. What has to happen for them to still make the playoffs despite not playing next week?
It's loaded there. I mean, if you look, it's Mission Vet, Sherland Pioneer, Roma, Sherland High, Rio Grande City. They're all in there, and they could all finish 3-3. So any number of things could happen. There's several scenarios, and there's just, I guess, too many to run down. Next week we'll have a better idea of how it'll play out. But Pioneer was in this case last year where they would have had to wait it out that final week in practice and kind of not know what's going on. But because they lost to Roma, they already knew at that point that they were out. Or was it Roma or Valley View? I forget, but they lost one of those games, and they knew that in this case, if they win, they'll enter that last week kind of not knowing whether they have another game coming up or not. So a lot depends on this season, this week, even though a lot of games don't seem like flashy matchups on paper. A lot of the playoff hopes hinge on those games.
Who does Roma play next week? Is it Valley View?
Yeah.
Okay.
At
So
home.
let's say that
Roma's at home.
Okay. So let's say that Roma, for whatever reason, they lose this one. They can still get in despite losing to Pioneer if they beat Valley View.
It'll be the same thing where
Just because
their hopes will stay alive because then they'll
Right.
finish 3-3, and then from there, if there's a two-way tie, it'll go head to head, and if it's a three-way tie, then it'll go off positive points.
Okay. So either way, either team puts themselves in a better position, obviously, for the playoffs if they win. Now, granted, neither side is guaranteed a spot if they do win. There's still a whole other week left to be played.
Yeah.
You're going to be at this game, obviously. What do you think the score is going to be? Give us a prediction here.
Roma 17 to 11.
Okay, 11. That's a very odd score.
Well,
touchdown and two safeties for the Diamondbacks there.
Well, they were in the game. Remember, they were in the 6-4 victory over Valley.
They were.
Nothing's impossible.
No, nothing's impossible. 17 to 11. We do have a question. Oh, Greg Luca, by the way, is on Periscope duty tonight.
And next man up for Dennis Silva.
Our 36 reporter. Is there a question from the Periscope?
Not a question, but I just wanted to say Sammy Marroquin here, big Roma guy, is saying 24-14 Roma, and that he definitely doesn't want them to ever have to face non-Valley teams in a district scenario. So just to give his input on both of those points.
Fair enough. As far as me, again, I don't cover this district. I'm out of the loop here. I'm picking Roma, one, because I'm on the record as saying I don't think Pioneer wins a single non-district game aside from Rio Grande City and Valley View. So I'm sticking with that. Two, I just think Roma's the better known commodity. Now, do we know what the status of Espinosa is? You said he's game time decision. Do we know if he's like, is he 80-20? Is he 50-50? I mean,
TBD. I think
he's still TBD.
Yeah,
Aguirre likes to play things close to the chest there, so.
I don't think we'll know until an hour before the game.
Probably, yeah.
I'll have my binoculars there and I'll be looking for
We'll see. I'm going with Roma, but again, with two teams like this that are really good on defense, that like to run the ball and like to control the clock, it's going to be close. It's going to be low scoring, like you said.
Yeah.
Instead of 17-11, I'm going to say 17-12.
17-12.
Just to be different, I'll say. Like the one person on Price is Right that always just bids the $1 and they always win, or they overbid the other person by another $1 and they win. Those people are the worst.
Here's a couple things.
I'd be that person on Price is Right, though, so I guess I'm a hypocrite. Anyways, yes.
Who's the host now?
It's Drew Carey.
Is it?
Yeah.
Still? Okay.
Bob Barker's still kicking it, though. He's like 90-some years old.
I thought Steve Harvey took over.
No, that's Family Feud.
Okay.
Yep.
With 31-5A, 2 through 6 could go any number of ways, but Rio Grande City faces an uphill battle in playing Sherryland.
They got Mission Vets.
Sherryland and Mission Vets.
Mm-hmm.
If Rio Grande City plays the way they did last week and losing Avella by just 1 point, then they should finish ideally 2-0.
Yeah, I was going to ask what happened there because we briefly just touched on that game. We looked at the schedule on the podcast. We're like, Avella plays Rio Grande City. Avella's probably going to take care of that one. And albeit they did take care of that one, but when we say take care of it, we mean win by like 2-3 touchdowns. This came down to 1 point.
For a second straight year.
Yeah, for a second straight year. So what about that night just kept the Rattlers in that game and kind of stifled this Vela team?
Coach Longoria said it was they matched up better against them, but in looking at the stats, they had a secret weapon of sorts with a senior running back and Gerardo Gonzalez, I believe his name is. He's been hampered the last 2 years with shoulder injury. Had a few looks here and there this season, but last week was his breakout game. He had, and I'm pulling up the stats right now, he had 169 yards on 14 catches for a score. This is after getting just a couple of touches and not really making any noise. So they bring him out in this game. And Jason Perez, their quarterback, their dual threat, has one of his better games of the season with 146 rushing yards, 2 TDs. And Casimiro Olivares, who's their lead back, had 51 yards, not much, but I just think maybe Gerardo Garcia's production, maybe Vela wasn't expecting him, didn't probably know much about him, and maybe that was an advantage for them. But Rio Grande City coach Carlos Longoria says it's the matchup. They have size up front, matches well with Edinburgh Vela, who a lot of teams say is pretty dominant, just physically, athletically. Mm-hmm. They're probably the most talented team in that regard in the district.
Now, how do you see Rio Grande City matchup against Mission Vets? Because once again, you look at the records, and at least the overall records, and you think maybe this one doesn't really matter as much. But as you said, still playoff implications in this one. How does Rio Grande City match up with Mission Vets?
You would think in losing quarterback Diego Hernandez for the year that they might have had some kind of drop off, but they haven't. They've had a Landry Gilpin, freshman quarterback. He's done well in 3 games. I think he's already in the stat leaders in the top 5 or 6, I think, in district. Last week he threw for 317 yards, 4 TDs, and he ran for another and rushed for 110 yards. So he's our offensive player of the week for the Monitor, and he's done well in his 3 games under center now in place for Diego.
In terms of, again, Mission Vets, Rio Grande City, that game's on Thursday. That's at Mission Vets. Another road game there for the Rattlers. Give us a score. How do you see this one working out? I mean, if Rio Grande City plays...
No, it's at Rio Grande City.
On here it says Mission Vets. But it's at Rio Grande City?
Let me check.
Because looking at the schedule here, either way, if Rio Grande City plays like they did against Vela...
They should be 9-1.
By the way that you said that Vela game played out, sounds like the matchup is favorable. How do you think that's another matchup? That's the same kind of matchup they can exploit against Mission Vets? Or is this something else? Is there something else going on that the Rattlers have to do here?
I would think it'd be closer than last year, only because if they get the same or comparable production from Garcia there, who stepped up last week, it should be a closer game. But I think Mission Vets.
That game is at Mission Vets.
Okay. Yeah. They haven't had any kind of drop off at all with Landry Gilpin. They just kept going, even though they lost one of their top receivers in Adam Solis. Mission Vets is just loaded at wide receiver and I guess at quarterback for the next 4 years at least. So I think they're able to withstand injury. Whereas Rio Grande City, they've just kind of been up and down this year. They had the quadruple overtime win over Valley View, which if they play the way they did against Edinburgh Valley, that game should never have gone to overtime.
Yeah, and I wasn't laughing that it took them 4 overtimes to beat Valley View. I'm just laughing, just trying to imagine just seeing that game, just watching those 2 teams just go at it after like that. So
you have to be a real fan to stick through 4.
Yeah, of anything, 4 overtimes of anything. And we say that after seeing the World Series, and that game 1 was denied and cost us our deadline because it went to 14 innings. And I mean, what else can your reaction be in circumstances like that? But laugh. Mission Vets versus Rio Grande City. Once more, score. What do you see? What do you see this one working out to be?
Mission Vets 35. Rio Grande City 17.
Okay, fair enough. And with Mission Vets, I mean, they're known for their offense, they're known for putting up points, but they've been able to score in those kind of knockdown drag-out games, because that was like Pioneer a couple weeks ago. It came down, it was a low-scoring game, was it not? It was like 21-14, 21-17, something like that.
Pioneer, right?
It was against Pioneer, yeah.
Pioneer was up 14-7 with 3 minutes left in the 4th, and then Mission Vets scored twice in 3 minutes.
Yeah, so they can win in multiple ways, but I'll be interested to see how that one works out. Rio Grande City's got my attention again, so I want to see what happens there. Next game brings us to
Sorry, I forgot to mention this. Sorry. At stake for Mission Vets, and Mission Vets wins on Thursday, they'll be in contention for the district title because they'll close with Edinburgh Vela. So if they beat Vela in that game, they would have the district title.
They'd get a share of it.
Would it be?
Yeah.
No, because because they tie for the same record, but then they would win head to head, so that might matter in the standings.
Maybe.
But I don't think many people thought of Mission Vets as being a district title contender. I think people just penciled in Bell all along, but
Yeah, or even Sharyland is number 2 right there.
yeah,
so.
and even then, just Mission Vets is in contention heading into week 10.
There's one more game. Who's on the bye this week? It's Bella. Bella's on the bye
Bella's
this
on the bye.
week. So brings us to one more game in your district. We got Sharyland High at Valley View. It's Friday at 7:30. Brings us to 2 things. First, you lead with Valley View in your notebook. Seems like their quarterback had good play for him last week. Briefly talk about that. What'd you see? What'd you learn about the Tigers this week?
Richie Sanchez has done well in 3 games.
Wait, you mean there's another Sanchez?
There's a lot of Sanchez.
We had Frankie Sanchez at All Boys Basketball, and now we got what's his name?
Richie.
We got Richie Sanchez at Valley View.
It's a better one, right? It's a better name.
Oh,
Richie
man.
Sanchez.
Oh man, I like this. I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
What do you know about Richie?
He is a sophomore. He played for the JV team last season. Was a receiver, played safety. After an injury, he asked to play quarterback last season. This year, Jorge Aguilar was the starting quarterback. Played 5 games, had some trouble. Coach Carlos Sainz didn't really blame him too much, was understanding of the fact Jorge is under center. He played on the defensive side primarily. So he had to go in there just because of the circumstances with Daniel Lintz having transferred to Sharyland. So in that, it kind of left Valley View without a quarterback. Then Jorge Aguilar took over, and then what's up?
Oh, nothing. There was some technical difficulties.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and then I had to flip the camera, and it was just me looking all confused. And then I had to flip it back, and now y'all are back on.
Yeah. I was checking. There were some technical issues behind the scenes, and I was watching the live Periscope feed on my computer, and all I saw was just Greg giving like this confused old man face before it came back to us. So that'll be good on the YouTube later for sure. Anyway, sticking to the Ivy Sharyland real quick. That brought us to your notebook, which you can find on RGVSports.com or in today's issue of the Monitor. It's Wednesday, October 28th. You also wrote about Rio Grande City, and you wrote about Sharyland Pioneer there as well. So
A lot of injuries.
a lot of injuries as well. But we got to get to the lock of the week, and that's also part of Sharyland Valley View. So I assume you're taking the Tigers in this one. Is that your lock of the week?
No, Sharyland.
Yeah.
Taking the Rattlers.
Yep, that seems pretty self-explanatory. So although I know that you're really high on Valley View's defense, and it seems like those kids are playing tough, and they've only lost, some of these games they've only lost by like an average margin of like a touchdown.
Through 6 games, it was 5.2, but then in
Yeah.
Bella, they were blown out. I think it might have been 30 points, and then last week it was 20-ish.
Yeah, it was like 45-24 or something.
Yeah, they gave up.
Against
They
Valley
were,
View. I mean, Mission Vets, excuse me.
they were up on Mission Vets maybe through the second quarter,
Okay.
and then gave up 31 and answer or 28 and answer.
No, they're playing tough.
Yeah.
They're playing tough. Props to the Tigers, though.
So
So you're taking the Rattlers your lock of the week.
Yeah.
Sounds fine. Sounds fine to me. Well, Greg, any questions, comments, concerns from the Periscope aside
No,
from our
it's-
technical glitches in your old man face?
No, it's quiet.
You don't have
It's
an old man face. I
quiet.
think you're a handsome guy.
No, that wasn't. Well, thanks, buddy, but that was an old man face. I'm with it.
I
No,
don't know how these cell phones work.
all quiet over here. I've never seen the purple. Well, I don't even know how you would call that.
Maybe since it's Halloween, maybe it's a ghost.
You know
Guy
what? There's
inside
a
of your
ghost
guy.
in Mario's
It's a ghost
phone.
inside of your cell phone, bro.
Yeah.
It's the ghost of Sharyland High football team's past.
Well, who's purple? Who's purple in my district?
No one's purple.
No
in
one,
the
right?
district.
Yeah.
If you mesh colors for some of these teams, you get purple, like Mission Vets, red and
Well, there you
red
go.
and blue, you get some purple.
John's got all the purple teams.
I got purple. I got
Matt has
Wesleco.
purple too.
Mac High's purple. Wesleco East is a little purple. There's a little bit of purple in their logo. It's just like a trim. It's mostly they play up the black. It's black, white, gray. A little bit of purple for Wesleco East there. We'll talk about them though on tomorrow's podcast. I guess we should talk about 32-5A. As we said, it's kind of a quiet week for them though. If you want to check out again, Dennis Silver, our 32-5A reporter, couldn't be here, but he has a notebook out today on RGVSports.com and on the Monitor. You can check it out. He talks to Donna North, coach there, and a big win for them over the weekend. Not just their first win of the season or in district, but the first win of the program's history there. They beat Brownsville Pace in the rain. Props to them as well, like 17-7?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, 17-7. So props to the Chiefs there. He also writes about Andrew Segura of Ed Couch-Elsa. There was a scare last week in the game against PSA Southwest. Segura sat out the whole second half from what looked like might have been a head injury. He's good to go. He's been cleared, according to Coach Marcellar there at Ed Couch. No concussion. He's been cleared by the trainers. He's good to go. Looks like he's going to be in action this week.
Wait, we have an Ed Couch now?
Huh?
We have an Ed Couch
We
now?
do have an Ed Couch
Oh,
note.
okay.
Breaking,
We never get them.
yes, always have an Ed Couch note. And last note for Donna, they can clinch at least a share of the district title if they beat Donna North on Friday. So that's what's going on right now in 32-5A for news and notes. As far as games, kind of a quiet week for them. I'm trying to see some of the games here on the schedule. You got PSA Southwest at Mercedes. That game is on Thursday. Sounds like PSA Southwest, their season's over in terms of trying to make the playoffs. They're out to play spoiler at this point. Looks like Mercedes has a spot that's, I think if they win, they get locked in. Or do they already have a spot? Let me check this. Nope. They're not guaranteed a playoff spot yet, although I think that if they win, I believe that Mercedes will be in the playoffs. I'm looking elsewhere here for this district. Oh gosh, I see PSA High versus Porter. Porter's probably the 4th seed in that district. PSA High has yet to win a game. They're really struggling. It seems like Porter probably gets that one. Who does Donna? Oh yeah, Donna North plays Donna. We just mentioned Donna probably gets that one. And Ed Couch plays Brownsville Pace, a team that's on the struggle bus as well at the moment. But,
on the struggle bus.
On the struggle bus as well.
Yeah.
So it looks like Ed Couch gets that one. Just a week of have-nots right now in 32-5A. But next week, as I said, there's a lot of good matchups across the board. And we're going to get Ed Couch versus Donna for a share of that district title. Hopefully that could be the storyline for that one. Anything else that people want to know about 5A teams right now or anything? Are we good to go? We don't have a locker league for Dennis. He's not here. Maybe we can get him to Texas. Maybe announce it on the show tomorrow or something. But kind of a short episode, but we appreciate it. Any other questions, comments, concerns, folks?
Are they asking us about Dennis? Is anyone
Doesn't
concerned?
appear that way.
No. I guess this means as far as name that cat, hashtag name that cat, we got to postpone it. You got another week. So
Really?
let's just remind people, Dennis has a new kitten now. It is a girl.
You think he got sick because of that?
She is a grayish brownish tabby cat, and she has big old soft blue eyes. She's adorable. We are having a contest to name her. If you want to submit an answer, use the hashtag #NameThatCat on Twitter and tag Dennis Silva on Twitter. His handle is @DenSilva2. Do both those things. Send in your submission, and according to Dennis, the winner will receive some kind of prize. It's probably
It's probably an autographed Vipers game.
We'll see what's going on though with that. So I will officially postpone. I will extend the contest another week here for Dennis here. So last week we got ravioli. That was a really good one.
I like taco.
Taco's a good one too. I have a crazy old grandmother who had a Chihuahua named Taco, and that was pretty racist. But my I mean that's pretty. If it's not racist, it's certainly stereotypical. But that's what else do you expect from old white ladies?
There's actually a Den Silva 1.
There's a Dennis. He's
Silva.
calling you out, Den Silva 2.
Yeah.
What was the last wrestling match? There was a WWE pay-per-view this past week.
There absolutely was. How do you know that?
Was there Hell in a Cell?
Indeed.
I just saw lots of GIFs online, or GIFs, or whatever it is.
Yeah, there was. It was pretty great, actually.
Can we see Den Silva 1 versus Den Silva 2 in Hell in a Cell?
That'd be the only way to settle that blood feud.
Winner gets exclusive rights for Den Silva.
Oh. I don't think he wants that. I think he likes the
Yeah, he likes the 2.
Loser leaves name match.
All right, folks, with that, I think we got an episode. Thanks for checking out this short, but always just as informative edition of the RGVSports.com Class 5A podcast, Mario, just stand-up job subbing in for Mr. Silva. Greg, you a stand-up job subbing in for Mr. Mario.
Next man up, John. Next man up.
As for me, as I pat my own back here, props to me on another fine job hosting. I would like to say that it's also my birthday as well. So.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to me. 27, officially middle-aged.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's how that works.
Yeah, that's how that works. Anyways,
Did we
appreciate
leave
it.
anything out from last week? Because we didn't do the
I think y'all touched on all the games as we
Yeah,
went through.
last week again, just a slow week. Ed Couch beat Southwest, Donna beat Porter, Donna North beat Pace, Mercedes beat PSJI. So, good things went about as expected in that district. So, anyways, for the third and final time, we're leaving. Appreciate it, folks. Thank you so much. Check us out on Facebook, RGVSports.com, on Twitter, at RGVSports. You can find me at John Fillet. Mario, where can the good people find you?
Mario_Aguirre.
Greg Luca.
At Craig Luca.
And Greg will be back tomorrow on the 6A podcast. What about you? What about you, Mario?
I might be back too.
You might be back? All right, we'll figure it out. Until then, folks, take care of each other. We'll be back getting ready for 6A. Nailed it. Any questions? Happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm an old man. Gladiator Nation. That is what I hear quite a bit. Gladiator Nation, Raider Nation, Bulldog Nation,
So
Mustang Nation.
last year's schedule has a game at Mission Vets. So at Mission Vets, so this year's game should be at Rio Grande City.
Weird.
Because they swap every year.
Well, dude, we're thinking about covering that one, so I would. We're gonna have to figure that out.
Interesting. Yeah, figure it out. If we got it wrong, I'll make a note on the podcast.
It's
tomorrow.
Captain Obvious.
I'm just
Let me
saying.
check.
So. Any
Check-
questions,
check-
comments, concerns?
I'm checking the press box schedule.
Happy to take a question or two if you got them. Doesn't even have to be about football. It can be about anything.
Could be about the cat.
Be about the cat. NBA season started tonight. It could be about basketball. I don't care. I don't
Okay.
care.
Pressbox Services, which is the service that it's the site that Rio Grande City uses for stats. They have Rio Grande City as the home team.
Well, then I guess it is.
Weird.
They don't use Max Burns.
That's
Interesting. Well, we'll have to announce that on the show tomorrow. So, got that one wrong. Just
Okay.
going based off the information we saw.
Who wins the NBA Finals?
Who wins the NBA Finals? That's tough.
Bobcats? I know, they're not there.
Who do you think Rome will face making it into the playoffs? Who did they play last year? It was Mercedes. The
Yeah.
Mercedes won the district title. I don't know. It all depends on seeding and stuff right now. It's really hard to tell.
It's by divisions. I think the one clear cut, or not clear cut, but I think I've heard that a lot of people expect Edinburgh Valley to be playing Victoria East. I think it is. I've heard that for a couple weeks, and I think it's kind of kind of set up that way. That's the only one that I kind of feel for in 31-5.
Yeah, Roma's going to be playing someone in 32-5A, I think.
You mean beating someone?
They're going to be playing probably Mercedes or maybe Porter.
Oh, that'd be good.
Something like that. We'll see. Again, it's all. There's so many things they got to figure out. So these next 2 weeks, want Elsa? Elsa might be. They want Elsa.
Yeah.
You heard it. Roma's calling out Ed Couch Elsa on Periscope. No, who's going to win the NBA Finals? In the Eastern Conference, it doesn't matter. The Cavs are going to be representing the Eastern Conference, barring just like catastrophic injuries.
Well, they've had two catastrophic ones last year, and they still made it.
Yeah, they still made it. So like, unless LeBron James is like in a wheelchair, Cavs are coming out of the East. Out of the West, man, the West is so loaded.
Yeah.
You can't discount the Spurs. The Warriors, excuse me. If Oklahoma City stays healthy, you can't discount them. The Spurs, obviously. Although the Spurs, I worry about Tony Parker. He looks like he's getting older. I've read a lot of things about him playing Euroball this past summer. They're saying he looks a bit slow.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see how LaMarcus Aldridge and Tim Duncan play together. They'll be fine. They're a playoff team. I just think they're going to have to figure some things out for a while. Rockets will be good, obviously.
The
Who else is
Clippers,
there?
come on.
Clippers will be good. I just question their bench. I question if Chris Paul can stay healthy, because if he does, like who's their point guard?
You're questioning Austin Rivers, Lance Stevenson.
Yeah, I'm questioning
Wesley
Austin Rivers. I
Johnson,
really am.
Wesley Johnson, Paul Pierce.
Paul Pierce is not playing point.
Oh no, I'm just saying as a bench.
I'm just saying if
Austin Rivers is there.
but their bench doesn't matter if Chris Paul goes down. It doesn't. Like they need Chris Paul to stay healthy. Who else? Man, the West is so tough. It just all depends on matchups, right? Because like everyone thought the Spurs were going to be Western Conference finalists or even be in the NBA Finals, and then they played the Clippers, and that was like the one matchup that really gave them problems. If it's Spurs Rockets first round, then holy crap, like the Spurs win that 5 games.
Well, Spurs Clippers was Game 7 last bucket in overtime, was it?
Right.
And even then, the Clippers had a heads up on the play because the ref accidentally blew the whistle, and then they ran the same play, and the
Right.
Clippers.
The Rockets look good. Someone said the Rockets look good. The Rockets do look good. I just question whether or not they can hold up against the Warriors, because last year, every time they played the Warriors, they got obliterated. And I know that Dwight Howard didn't play in some of those games because they rested him for the playoffs, and he played like a machine in the playoffs. But I don't know. That's a big question mark for me. I think if Golden State stays healthy, which is a big question mark for them, because Steph Curry's ankles are made of glass.
He hasn't been hurt in a while though because of his ankles. That's like
Right, but like for the first couple of years of his career, like he couldn't stay healthy, and that's something that's always going to loom over his career. If Bogut's always been injury away,
you know what's crazy?
but with them, like it doesn't. With Golden State, they're so versatile. Like they may not even need Bogut because like their best defensive lineup was when Bogut wasn't even in the lineup. Was when they had like Draymond Green out there playing small ball 5, just wrecking everyone. So I don't know.
Those shoes that
No, D Rose will not play the full season. He's either going to get hurt or he's going to be suspended for sexual assault. So
Wow.
those shoes that Steph Curry messed up his ankles with. I played in them. I don't know how that happened because he can't really move in those shoes. So I don't know how he managed to hurt himself. You see here, protects your ankles. You can't move at all. So props to him for getting hurt through that.
Props.
And I'm not trying to make accusations about Derrick Rose. Like he is being taken to court by a woman who's accusing him of sexually assaulting her. Like I'm not just pulling that out of my ass. Pardon my French. Like that is a thing that's happening right now. So
speculation, hearsay.
So nah, I don't like the Bulls this season.
They have Hoiberg.
Like I know that they didn't get along with Thibodeau, but is Hoiberg a better coach than Tibbs? And
more likable.
Joakim Noah is breaking down. He looks really old. Even tonight, it's game 1, and he's out there playing. He visibly looked like he was in pain.
Yeah.
From what I understand, Jimmy Butler and Derrick Rose don't always get along.
Yeah.
I think Butler wants that to be his team, and Rose wants it to be his team too.
I don't think you have to get along.
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. Do you all think Ramon will play? Who knows? Did he play last week?
Who?
Ramon Espinosa. No, they had a bye last week.
No, but he sat out the game before.
Yeah, he sat out the game before.
First time he sat out.
And he sat out the whole second half of that Mission Vets game. So he's had 2.5 games off.
And he
2.5 weeks off, I should say.
Rob Aguirre from Edinburgh Vale surpassed him, finally.
What was that last question about Harlingen South? We had a question about Harlingen South.
Oh, I missed it.
What was your question about Harlingen South? Type that up one more time. I'm sorry, I didn't see it. It was just a lot of text and it faded. I didn't get to see all of it.
Sammy Marroquin said that he's Andy Marroquin's brother, by the way.
Okay.
Okay, Roma quarterback.
I like Roma. I do. I really do. I wish they were closer. I've said that a million times. I wish Roma was closer to us.
Or at least have a little subway thing that takes you, a little train.
No, they're building. You know the expressway. The goal is to eventually get that all the way out to Roma. Granted, that's going to take.
Who has the better record, South or Cards?
Harlingen. Harlingen has the better record.
Yeah, they're way better.
Yeah, Harlingen High has a better record than Harlingen South. I'll tell it to you right now. Harlingen High overall, they are 6-2, 4-1 in district. Harlingen South is 3-4, 2-2 in district.
Word.
So, yeah, Harlingen High is the real deal. That team is good. That team is really good.
I still can't believe your phone bugged out before.
Yeah. I probably got a car soon.
I wish we had a score.
No, because it would just turn purple. That was it. I've actually never. It was weird. It was very weird.
You're welcome. No problem. No problem. Anything else?
No.
I'm ready to call it.
I'm ready to call it. Thanks, folks. Appreciate it hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow getting ready for 6A. Thanks.